Let's turn to back to national news. Mask situation in this country. CDC seems to be sort of like, they're not saying that, they're saying that you can take your mask off if you're vaccinated. You don't have to. There's just seems to be sometimes like a difficulty at the CDC with trusting the American public with any type of nuance. And I can understand it on some level because there is a huge portion of our society that seems to be dedicated to the premise that we need to find a problem with anything that shows collective action has value, right? I mean, that's what this is with the masking. They put it in the terms of control. The only reason why the CDC wanted us to wear masks was to exert control because there are people there who want to discipline us. And it's like, when you really stop and think about that, you realize how just sort of like demented that theory is. That there aren't other ways that they could exercise control over us. They do that every day. And there is a certain amount of control. There is a certain amount of your freedom that you have to give up as a member of society because you necessarily have to worry about the people around you. I mean, it is when they talk about control, what they are afraid of and what they're pushing back against. Understand this. They are trying to attack the idea of collectivism, the idea of collective action, of societal action. They are half a step away from being climate change deniers. They are a half a step away, maybe half is an exaggeration. I mean, that's where we're at with this. I mean, so people should be very clear about it. When you see people, I mean, it's one thing to say, like, I disagree with the CDC. I think you can have a nuanced conversation about it. But when you're doing this just to take a position and you're claiming it's about control, understand they are attacking the idea that society can function in a way as to create some type of response to an issue that only society can address. Here is Dave Rubin, with his boss, Glenn Beck, on The Blaze. And look, in this instance, it's Dave Rubin, it's these two clowns, but understand there's a lot of other people who could be sitting in these seats who have been, who project a more serious quality about them. But here are these two.
The absence of a mask on somebody has become almost like a yellow star. Mm-hmm. So many people on the liberal side see the mask as a sign that you're part of the party. And when you're not wearing a mask, you're a problem. And they've been shaming us. They've been side-eyeing us, speaking out, calling us names. How do they remove that mask? Because it has become part of the identity of the party.
Well, Glenn, that goes directly to the danger that they've been doing for years now, which was calling us all racists and bigots and Nazis. And I know that you personally, Glenn, you've gotten into hot water from the lefty media at times for making the Nazi analogy. And I completely agree with you on this. When you make the Nazi analogy, I mean, the irony is these are the people who call all of us Nazis, but the Nazis didn't just show up one day. It didn't just show up one day. It is a process of othering people, saying the worst things about people. And now it's not just that our political views are odious and should be silenced and kicked off big tech and everything else. It's that we are literally killing people by not wearing masks, by not bowing to these people. And who's actually the ones that are instigating the hate? It's them. Well,
this is so demented in so many different ways. It really is stunning. First off, just for folks who know absolutely no history, the yellow star that Glenn Beck was referring to was in no way analogous to the idea of saying, I'm not going to wear a mask, because you didn't get to choose whether you were going to wear a yellow star. It was a way for the Nazis to establish that you were a Jew in public so that you would be then otherized. It wasn't an option that you had where you could say, like, I want people to know that I'm a Jew. And incidentally, there is a difference between being a Jew or doing something that has the potential of endangering other people. They're the ones who are making not wearing a mask an identity. I have no idea what, like, the way I would describe a non-mask wearing person is you're a non-mask wearing person. There is no, but for them, it's an identity. For them, it's some type of performative action that is supposed to be out there. They are taking an action. They're, you know, this is like, like
rebellion though, Sam. That's what this is about. It's rebelling.
Well, so much of their identity is wrapped up in owning the libs. We've talked about this so many times. That is the core driving, irksome, insatiable anger that festers in their bodies when they think about politics. It's not about improving people's lives. It's about this like cultural, this part of culture, this way of understanding that they want to rebel against inherently because they don't feel like they have control over it. And yeah, pretty sure, Dave and Glenn, if the mask wearing was akin to the yellow star and we were moving towards fascism, which you, by the way, support, people who were afraid for their lives would put on masks because, as Sam said, it's voluntary.
Well, and here's the thing. One of the other things that was sort of a hallmark of the yellow star was not just that you would get the side eye or that you'd be ashamed or calling names.
Your feces would be hurt.
Yeah, it's that ultimately you were put into cattle cars and sent to death camps. That's the other part.
But that's what Dave Rubin is saying is the end result of this situation. As Cuomo and Newsom are announcing plans in their evil blue states to relax the requirements of mask wearing. So there's a real shelf life for this Nazi scaremongering that they got.
Well, but then now they saved us from the fascism that was the having to. I mean, look at it this way. What if it was littering? Like the idea is exactly the same dynamic.
Yeah.
Can you imagine if these two were on there going like, I took a wrapper and I threw it on the ground and then someone looked at me side-eyed, because that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to otherize us. Just because I don't believe in putting garbage in a garbage can.
Yeah, I mean, what's, again, the snowflake mentality of a side-eye being the equivalent to persecution, but that's just exactly what they believe. And weren't they the same guys who were mad when liberals were comparing Trump to Hitler?
Well, think about this. It's all, think about it. It's every single line of their attacks right now is about persecution. They're being canceled. They're being forced to wear masks. They're being forced to learn about racial history. The fact that Fox News has spent so much time in the last few weeks talking about how schools are talking about racial injustice and systemic issues, and they have people who used to be the spokespeople of the Republican Party under George W. Bush saying things like, well, racism didn't exist, slavery ended, racism doesn't exist. And they're making themselves out to be the victim. That is their new line. They're the victims. They're the victims of the socialism.
It's not new, though. That is honestly.
No, but it's all they have now, because that's the difference.
Well, that's the thing. They ran out of policies during the Trump administration. They ran out of stuff. They stopped like even playing the, providing the facade. And now it's just like complaints. Here is Dave Rubin, who and this is just a clip of his, who is sitting there with his boss.
Who will never love and accept him because he's a gay man.
Glenn Beck, exactly. Sitting there with his boss, comparing the treatment of people who don't wear masks to Jews in the Holocaust.
That was the clip we just played.
Right. No, I know.
Oh.
I thought there was some sort of repeat thing happening, and I was like, wait, is this like...
Here he is in one moment. He is a Jew living in the Warsaw Ghetto, right? And I'm going to fight back against this. But then in another moment, he's like, well, but I mean, if I'm going to get a citation, then forget it. Here he is. This is clip number 12. This is just him on yesterday.
You know what? I'm going to make a commitment. Starting today, everything that I do in LA, and again, I don't go out that often, but everything that I do, any store that I enter, I'm not going to wear a mask. And if I'm told to wear a mask, then if I need to get in there, I guess I will. Like, I'm not here to start a riot and fight with people.
So on Saturday, the guy's comparing this to like, this is like wearing a yellow star. And then on Monday, he's like, I am made a commitment. I'm not going to wear a mask unless I'm asked to. The only question I have is like, why is he staying inside so much? I mean, I know he's got a beautiful house, but why isn't he going out and partying? Is it because he's afraid of breathing other people's COVID?
No, it's because he's afraid people are going to stone him to death.
Well, he's in California. He's okay. Until
No, exactly. Well, maybe they won't recognize him. I have seen him out in California though before. Fun fact.
Where'd you see him?
Waiting for an Uber outside of a studio. So, oh wait, I also saw him in a green room one time.
That's such a sweet little moment that shows the principled nature of Dave Rubin.
Exactly.
Wait a minute. I like how he's like, because on Saturday he has this conversation with Beck where he's like, it's like the Holocaust.
Yeah.
What we're going through is like the Holocaust. And then he must have thought about it. He slept on it Saturday night. Sunday, he's like, God, I really need to stand up and fight like they did in the Warsaw Ghetto, even if it means my ultimate death.
Well, yeah, like a week before January 6th or so, he was saying, guys, watch V for Vendetta. We got to really do stuff.
Yeah, exactly. And then that's it. I'm making a commitment. I've thought about this. I'm making a commitment. And then boom, let's.
You know what? I'm going to make a commitment. Starting today, everything that I do in LA, and again, I don't go out that often, but everything that I do, any store that I enter, I'm not going to wear a mask. And if I'm told to wear a mask, then if I need to get in there, I guess I will. Like, I'm not here to start a riot and fight with people.
What happened to your political commitment to stand up to Hitler? Huh? I thought that's what, or like, you know, we're all the Frankenstein of Hitler, right? Together as the pro-mask wearing society. Like, come on, Dave. I thought that you were a true believer. I thought you were a true revolutionary. Go in there, and even if that Walmart employee, or he's probably going to what, Crate and Barrel, even if that Crate and Barrel employee tells you to put your mask on, you've got to stand up against tyranny. Well, not gonna get kicked out.
And he's joining CrossFit. Those two things together.
I love that. It's just like a perfect encapsulation of how performative and cowardly he is.
Hilarious. Let's go to the IMs. I just love it. Like I'm making a commitment right now. I'm not going to wear a mask unless it prevents me from going in and, you know, going into Banana Republic or whatever it is that I got to go into.